Hi all, I wanted to do a quick review of some Japanese books I've been reading to try to learn Japanese better. I arrogantly bought the Spanish to Japanese books because I thought I knew Spanish pretty well. I learned that I didn't know it quite as well as I thought. The books are by Clay and Yumi Boutwell. The first book is about a character named Hikoichi. He's supposed to be really smart, but he comes off more as a swindler the way I read the books. This is a pretty long book, the first one in the series. It is 195 pages. The stories kind of look like this, where at the top there's some Japanese, and then at the bottom there's translations of the Japanese into Spanish. In the first book in the series, often when there's a translation, they'll do several words at once. For example, Torimo Kashikoi, they translate as muy sabio, but they don't go through the effort of translating the words individually so you can figure out what's going on. And there's no grammar section in this first book, I mean. So after doing the whole story like that, then they give the story only in Japanese, and then they give it in Spanish, or if you buy the English version, obviously they give it in English. And then they just move on to the next story. So it's just story with translations and the furigana written over the kanji, and then followed promptly by the story in just Japanese with no furigana, and then the story in either English or Spanish, depending on what version you get. In this first book, which is, as I mentioned, about 190 pages, I believe there are 4 stories. 1, 2, 3, yes, 4 stories. Now, in the second book and on, they start giving explanations of the grammar within the story. For example, here they have the Japanese is motte kaite. They then explain what it means as a phrase, and then they translate it word by word, what this word means, what motsu means, and what keiru means. So then you can try to learn what's going on a little bit better. And now, after translating the story from Japanese to Spanish, they have a section where they explain the grammar for at the end of each story, which can really help you figure out what's going on. And then they do the same thing with it just in Japanese, and then a section where there's either just in Spanish or just in English. The second book is about a character named Momotaro, who, if I understand the story correctly, is a peach that an old woman and an old man find, and when they go to cut him open, he turns into a human, and then they immediately send him out to go kill an ogre. It's kind of a strange story. I'm probably slightly misunderstanding it because my Japanese isn't perfect. And the second story is just one of Aesop's fables, The Tortoise and the Hare. I was actually a little bit surprised and disappointed to find it in here. I was more interested in reading Japanese fairy tales than Greek fairy tales. The third book, like the second book, is only about 90 pages long, and it only contains 2 stories. The first one's called El Samurai de Una Pelgado, at least that's its name in Spanish. I probably mispronounced that, sorry about that. Or in Japanese it's Isun Boshi. And this story is about a little tiny warrior who's, this big, and he goes on a short adventure, again fighting an oni or an ogre. The second story, which I haven't finished or even started yet, is called Kaguya Hime, La Princesa Kaguya, I think is how you'd pronounce it in Spanish. And I believe this is actually a Japanese fairy tale, so it's not going to feel a little bit like a ripoff this time. I do recommend these books because they write the furigana above all of the kanji. Some things I wish they were doing better is I wish that after you've seen something translated about 10 times, they would first stop writing the furigana above it, so you're forced to learn it. You can always flip back and look at what was defined as the first 10 times. And then after seeing it another 10 times, completely stop translating it whatsoever. Because there are 12 books in the series, and if they slowly expanded the vocabulary, starting from book 1, by book 12 you could easily know 50 to 500 kanji, or at least you'd be able to recognize them and know what they say. I forgot to mention that you can also go to their website and download the audio. I haven't tried it, but I assume it works. I get enough audio just from watching anime on Netflix and Hulu. Good luck out there to everyone learning Japanese.